I'm excited about this. I love eraser carving, and I've been doing it sort of haphazardly for off and on for years. I really never mastered it, but I'm learning a lot more about it, and I enjoy it so much. And I'm finding that you don't need a lot of tools. It's nice to have tools, but you don't really need a lot of tools to make fun, really fun images. And right now I'm actually designing origami paper, making the carvings and then shrinking down the images and creating origami paper. So it's really fun. But these, like this one I did yesterday, here's the little carvings or the little erasers that I carved, and it didn't take me too long to do. And then I have these little guys here I did just a couple days ago. This is this one and this one. So, it's really good if you have, when you're carving erasers or when you have some images you really like, if you store them, somehow store them so that they don't get damaged, because they have very soft, because they're erasers. So you want really, they're very delicate. And I've ruined so many of them in the past that I had and I really liked. Like, let's see, I've got one here I wanted to show you. Oh, this one. I really like this one. And it was made out of a big eraser that I got at the dollar store. It says for big mistakes. And I love this thing. But it has this, it now has a bad notch in it because I stored it haphazardly. So I can make a new one though. I have to get some more of these from the dollar store. But these were $1, these erasers, and they make great carving blocks. And so what I'll do is I'll restamp it onto the new eraser, and then I can just recarve it. So I don't want to throw that away, but I just want you to know that really it's really good to store your, in something, like these, something that will keep them from getting gouged, because once that gouge is there, then it's on there. So I wanted to share that with you. And I'm actually trying to figure out how to do round, and I've kind of figured it out because there's a way, and I'll share with you the tips that I have learned so far, and together we can carve something. If you have something, of course, hopefully have something that you can carve along, but I would suggest probably just maybe instead of, it might be, because there's a sharp blade instrument, sharp instrument involved, just kind of maybe watch what maybe some sections. And if you do want to carve, I would probably do it a little after the demo, but you can certainly start making your eraser designs and things like that right now. So I'll go over the materials a little bit. This is called, this is basically an eraser, the Statler erasers, which I have one here. Erasers come in all different sizes. There's some I got on Amazon. I thought these were cute. It says they're called Moo erasers, and they're perfect little squares. So I could probably make 3 stamps out of this one. I could just use this side, and this is very soft carving material. It's it's like kind of carving through butter. Well, maybe not. Butter might be a little too soft, but it's very soft rather than a linoleum block or anything like that. So you can get them in different sizes. It says cuts like butter, but I could say it doesn't really cut like butter. There's some from Japan that I love, and I saw that these are on Amazon. The company is called Seed, I think. Well, that says Harunabai. But anyway, the company is Seed. If you typed in Seed on Amazon, you can get, I'm just going to make sure if everybody could just mute just so I can go ahead and have, we can record this. That'd be awesome. So just to let you know, all these sessions are always recorded, but I always cut out the parts I never put online our discussions. I only put on the demo. So just to let you know that I do that. So these are great. These are about $12, but you can probably get 6 nice little print, little designs. But if you could do what I did here, I actually made one big one out of this big one. So there's so many things you can do with it. And then you've got a permanent little thing to make repetitive designs, and you can have lots of fun. So the essential tools are a little cutting mat, something that, whether it be a self-healing mat or it could be cardboard, something that you want to protect the table underneath. So always something like this. I've got different sizes, different styles, but you just need self-healing cutting mats are the best. But if you don't have one today, just use a piece of cardboard or something. Another one is a very sharp, if you have a number 11 blade, X-Acto knife. This one, I just changed the blade today. The sharpest are the better, of course. Yeah, you can use knives like this, anything with a blade, but a fresh blade is always good. I mean, I've even got these little cutters like this, So, and even what are those things called? Those snap-off blades, those work great too. Another thing to have, of course, is your, some kind of a material, your eraser or, carving material. You got those, and you don't need these, but they're nice to have. Speedball, they come in a kit like this, and they have the little blades are in the back. But I have several of these, so I just changed. Basically, I put each size that I'm going to use in this. But if you have one of these, they're linoleum cutting tools. With their basically they have gouges, which makes it really easy to cut out the excess eraser. But if you don't have those, you don't have to have those. But if you decide, I want to do this, I love it, get some of these. If you don't have it right now, you can still do it with just the blade. What else do you need? Okay, you need some inks. Usually, you can get inks like that. These are awesome inks, these little mementos. And I'm going to show you a technique on how I do some blending. You don't need a brayer necessarily, but if you have one, they're nice to have, but you don't need that. So tracing paper is another thing. Little sheets of tracing paper, like, just thin tracing paper and a pencil. That's how you're going to transfer your designs, is you're going to use a pencil. So the first thing I'll show you is how to do the design. So I've got a little piece of eraser block, and I've got a design that I drew. I'm going to make sure. So there it is, the one that I want to use today. And I'm just going to turn it over onto the block. I'm just going to position it right on that where I want to, just position it and then don't move it. Because once I start to move, if I keep moving it, then I'll ruin the design underneath. But I'm going to use something that's dull, but like this back of this knife has a nice edge that I can burnish the pencil mark down. So like if you draw a leaf, or you can draw just circles or little designs, I'm just going to show you how easy it is to transfer the pencil right onto the eraser. It's pretty cool. It's actually a lot. It's for some reason it just transfers so nicely. And all I'm doing is just rubbing the back of this. If I wanted to use something else, like I have this fancy burnishing tool, you can use that. You can use the back of a spoon, but just keep your drawing on there. And if you want to look and see if you're doing okay, hold it and lift it up a little. You can see how it's transferring really nicely, and then just kind of keep going until you've got until all that pencil's transferred. So I think I've got it. And there it is. So isn't that great? And then you can use that again. This, let's say, save your drawings in case you do make a boo-boo out of this. You still have that drawing, and just to charge it up again with graphite, you just go right over your drawing that you did before, and you are good to go on transferring that. So now I've got my little leaf design, and I want you to do, if you have a piece of, I always start, I have a scrap of this stuff, and I do this to practice my cuts before I go into this. This was a little practice cut thing. I was trying to just play with a different carving material, and it's really good to just take a little piece of carving material or a little eraser block or just something, a scrap that you don't really care, it's not going to be your final thing, to practice your cuts. And I want to just share with you the cutting. I'm going to do it on this because I've practiced before, but just for safety precautions, you should always, when you're cutting, just try to keep keep your hand out of the way of the blade going this way. I've had too many incidents where I've cut myself. So, but the trick about cutting these is you really want your blade to go into the eraser material at a 45-degree angle outside of the drawing. So I think I'll just show you what I mean by just cutting through this leaf. So what I have is I want this leaf, wherever the light area is, where the green is, that's what I want to cut out. I want to leave the black area, or this graphite area, is what I want to, I don't want to cut that. So that's kind of how I'll do that. So what I want to do is cut the outside first, and I'm going to do it, I'm going to start on the outside of this, and it'd be better if I rotate my stamp rather than trying to curve my knife. So I'm just going to start, and I'm going to put my blade at about a 45-degree angle right at the edge of that, and just going to make sure it's really on there. And just 45-degree angle, not too deep. Maybe you're going to go about 1/8 of an inch deep. And I'm just going to start my line. I'm going to go very slow. And that slow is so much better. If I go fast, there's many things that could happen. My blade could slip. I could cut through the eraser a little weird, you know, just better to go very slow and mindfully. And I'm doing this 45-degree angle. And as I'm starting to curve, I could actually just take my eraser and just turn it rather than me turning the blade. And I'm not putting pressure outward on the blade. I'm just putting pressure down. So this is going to keep it from slipping away from me. I'm just pushing, I'm actually going to push the eraser through and keeping my blade solid, or just not, I'm not moving my blade, I'm moving the eraser. So I'm just going to just go in my little 45-degree angle. And for some reason, my eyes are acting really weird, but hopefully I'll get through this. But I'll just keep it on like this. Now, it'd be kind of cool if they'd have a device, because I'm now going outside of that. If they had a device that would let you hold the blade down at the right angle, and then you can just manipulate it. And maybe they do, and maybe I'll find one. Or if not, I can invent one. Or maybe Alexis's husband. Alexis, your husband can invent one. But something that would hold the blade at a 45-degree angle, and then you could put it at any position downwards, then you could have a really cool, safe carving device. So here I am just going along the edge. And I'm going to just take it only to this part here, because I want you to see how the next thing happens. So to get that groove, that line out, what I have to do is now go back at a 45-degree angle on the opposite side of what I just cut. And I'm just going to kind of do it maybe enough so I can get underneath what I just cut. So that's about, oh, it's just at an angle. Kind of what I want to do is get that little wedge out. I'm just cutting along. I'm going to get this little wedge out. You could see it already came out. See how it just comes out. Now I didn't get this part, but that's how you get your edge. So I need to just go back into what I was just cutting and just try to get that out. And there it goes. It's right out. I'm just going to pull it out. And then same thing with, to get the outside on this line here, I'm just doing the same thing. Going around, and I could go a little faster, but it depends on your confidence in cutting. I'm just going to go around this leaf shape. And it's actually harder to get to get curved lines. Rather, straight lines are not too difficult. Curved lines are a little more difficult. But if you move your eraser rather than moving the blade, you'll have much more success. So here I am just going to go back to what I just cut, move just about 1/8 of an inch or so, 45-degree angle to make that nice little groove. And now I'm using my wrist to make that curve, and that's, as long as I do that, as long as I keep my fingers away from the blade, I'm good. So there, I'm going to pull this out with the tip of my blade, and now I've got the outside of my leaf done. And I'll show you how you get the rest. If you want to get the rest of it out, you would just make more cuts, like grooves. If you have a gouger, like one of these are awesome. All you need to do is just cut right through these just get rid of that green stuff. If you don't have one of these types of erasers, that's okay. You don't need one. A way to test your prints is to put it try it with some ink and see how it cuts or how it prints. This is how you want to get those extra parts off. Now, if you don't have this, and I should make sure my fingers are away from the gouge, because the gouges are exactly that. They'll gouge you if you have them too close to your hand. But if you don't have one of these, that's okay. I'll show you how to do it. It's a little longer, but it still can be done. So I've got this side done on the outside. And if you only do it with this, that's okay too. I'll show you how. So what I'm going to do is I've got this. I'm just going to bring my blade under. I'm just going through that top layer, and I'm just going to pull. Once I get that top layer off and move it away from yourself, obviously, you don't want your blade anywhere near your fingers. So now I'm just taking that part off. It's actually a much smoother cut. If you can see, you don't see those gouge lines, which some people like the gouge lines because it gives like a really neat effect if you want that wood block look. But this is a nice way to do it too. So now just so you can see, now I got that outside this leaf. Now I'm just going to go a little deeper because I can see it's probably not going to. There we go. So I've got that. And if you see any little places you want to get out, you can always go in, or if you want to reshape, like here I could see where maybe I'd like to kind of cut back in. You can always go back and cut your edges a little bit better if you want. And then you pick up the little tiny piece. There's a trick to get the little parts out, the little goobers out. You just take a kneaded eraser and just go inside, and it gets those little chunks of eraser out, little tiny pieces. So to get inside now now I'm going to take this little edge, and I want to make my leaf, or I want the edge of my leaf stalk to be kind of like that. I'm getting rid of that. And to get inside, I'm going to do the same thing on these little lines here. I'm going to cut. Now I have to be a little more careful because these are smaller little areas. So I'm just going to go at an angle and cut right inside. And then I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to just 45-degree angle going inside. I'm going to do it again on this one. And here we go. And I'm going to pick that up with my, I have this little slice. I'm going to move that out of the way. And I can always make the slices bigger, or, dig out more if I want. I'm going to do the same here. I'm just going outside of my little graphite line. And I'll stop right there, turn it. Basically, it's better to turn the eraser. I'm going to go right here and here, and I'll pull that out. So now I've got that little wedge is out. And I can keep going and going. I won't do the whole thing because I think I will just show you the stamping process, and then we can talk about any questions you might have. See how I'm just going at a 45-degree angle in, and there's just a skill, and you'll get used to it. Leaves are probably the easiest, I think, for me anyway, because you can be a little organic with your cuts. Circles, to get a perfect circles are really difficult. But this practice. I'm going to cut this part out. I definitely think you should see this print when it's done, though. I'm going to cut there. Now this is a larger area, so you'll see how you get those gouges out, or that section out, because this one cut isn't going to do it. So I'm going to just go back. I'm going to go right here where this is here and just cut into that part and pull that out. And I got it. And then I'm going to go also in here and pull this section out until it comes out. And then there it is. There. So I got that out. So I just can keep going and going. That's probably a little more tedious than the other. These, let's see if I can find it real quick. This print, or this leaf here, was much easier because all you have to do is just gouge out once. And now here, I'll show you the stamp. These guys are much easier because you're just taking the gouge and going out from the center line. So that might be easier to do. These were using this little gouge right here. It's a very narrow gouge. So, it's just, but I really didn't want to, I want you to feel like you can do something without the other tools. So You can do thin gouges, which I'll show you. You can get really tiny areas, like up here, this little tiny area that's right at the top. I'm just going to very delicately make my little cut along the edge of the graphite at the angle. And then I can just pull that little section out. So I got it out. Oops, mostly. You can do that and just keep cutting. And this one here, I'm just going to cut these little parts, these little gouges away real quick. I guess I should kind of go through the whole thing, but it might take me too long, and I don't want to take too long. Maybe if I go a little faster, not too fast. This carving material is so soft, and there's different grades. Like this one's kind of the softest, which may give you, depending on how you cut, what kind of fuzzy edges, you know, it could happen. But there's the one that I use that has a black, it's basically a black core. That has a nice sharp, much sharper edge, and I can't find that. I don't know where to find that. So suppose I'll have to do some more searching. And maybe we'll be able to find it. And I'll give you that information. I'll put some links on where I found this stuff. What's great about this is once you've carved it once, then you've got a really nice stamp that you can make repetitive designs and patterns. And they're really fun to do. So instead of me going through this whole thing and spending all this time, I just kind of want to share with you the stamping or the coloring techniques. And I'll do that with, I'm going to take these because these are similar to what I just cut. And I'm going to grab a piece of paper. And what's really nice is if you have one of these, like a newsprint pad, newsprint pads are really handy to have because they are a great stamping surface. There we go. And they're just really nice. Okay, so here I've got this little cute leaf. And I'm just going to show you some fun stamping techniques. So if you just do it a straight stamp, like, you know, you just take green. I mean, that's your basic. This is just basic. Now I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm just going to stamp it and press down very firmly and lift straight up. That's a plain straight leaf. But if I want to do something more fun, you can actually take a brayer and a couple of stamps. Let's see, or a couple of inks. This one and maybe this one. No, a light one. So I've got two colors here. I've got these two colors right there. And I'm going to take my brayer and I'm going to, yeah, I guess maybe I should go bigger. Go bigger. So I'm going to just brayer on both of these pads. And I'm kind of move them back and forth a little bit. And brayers are really nice. They give it a little smoother thing. So I've got two colors on there. I'm just going to, now I've got these two colors and I'm going to put those two colors onto the leaf. I'm just going to brayer it on, get as much ink as I can on there. And now I'll stamp. And you'll see the difference. And you'll see this pretty faded. It's a little softer because it's a lighter one, but yeah, I can see the difference in colors. Now, if I wanted to go, I could do the same thing by just taking the stamp and going directly on like this. You know, that will give it probably a more bold look. I'll try it again. Go up this way. And then, so I've got a little bolder. So that's one way to do it. Now the way I did this one, so that's kind of a fun way. I just wanted to share that. You can use a brayer or just stamp directly. And just different ink pads are going to behave differently on the eraser material. Oops, there we go. So those are fun. Then you can just make repetitive patterns, or you can make them go in different directions. Like if you want to, let's just do it in black or dark green so you can see it easier. You can do all kinds of fun things with your stamps. And even if they're kind of rough looking, it doesn't matter because they'll still, the repetitive patterns will give you some really interesting effects. I'm going to show you. So if I wanted to put my stamp here, my first one here, of course you have to know which, okay, that's that one, okay. And if I just want to make them random, I could do kind of like just random, different, have them go in different directions, which really kind of is a nice look too. Let's see, I'll put them out. Let's put that one that way. So you can see how you can do all kinds of things. And if I wanted to take these and bring these down, like if I had a pen, which I don't, yeah, there we go. I can actually just draw, you know, maybe draw some leaves or some stems. So there's all kinds of things you can do with your stamps. I wanted to show you too, I did actually do a little cactus. This little guy I wanted to show you. I'd already transferred it on. And the cactus are really easy. And I'm going to use my gouger this time. The first thing though, is I will use the blade. If I can grab it, wherever it went, there it is. And I'll go all the way around the outside. And I'll start, let's see, where do I start? That's the thing. All right, I'll start this way. So I'll start on the outside of my cactus, and I'm just going to go. It was easy to draw and easy to transfer. And this one, there we go. I'll just take that, cut this out here. There we go. So basically, you can see how that's done. Then with the gouging part, I just take the gouges and like I'll go on this side just because I'm just going to take the gouge and I'm going to put it in right along where that pencil line is. I'm just going to push it in. So it's a little different working with the gouge, but it's fun because, you know, it's just, especially for something like the cactus. And then you can just pick it up right at the end. Now I've got this nice little line, and I can do that with all the lines. So that's just showing you how you can use those gouges. Speedball is the name of the company. There we go. So that's that. So you can see I did the same thing with this one here. I just made big gouges with that. And there was something I wanted to make sure you didn't miss. Oh, this is something important too. I forgot to tell you about it. If you want to cut some of your blocks down, you need, if you wanted to make a nice square block, let's say, and you want to cut it down, you would just take a ruler like this, and I use this ruler because it has a nice edge, and you just start your cut, but don't go all the way in. Just kind of do like you do cardboard, you know, just start out small, or, you know, just score it kind of, and then you can get, as you go deeper, it just goes deeper without a lot of struggle, and you just don't want to move your ruler around too much. That's so I can feel when I feel the base of the cutting mat, there it is. I've got a nice straight cut and fairly safe if I put it together. So if you get one of those blocks, they cost a little bit, you know, I think it was $11 or $12, but you can get quite a bit. You can get a lot of stamps. You can get 4 large ones or 6 medium size. So there's so many things you can do. Now I wanted to show you on this little guy, this is just a cutting quick. I'm just going to cut a little piece off of this one. I'm going to make it big enough so that I can hold my fingers on it. I'm just going to cut straight through because this is even softer. And I want to use this at the edge that's flat. It's a good idea. And just for fun, I want to do a little squiggly design. It doesn't even have to be drawn on. I'm not even drawing. I'm just going to do something squiggly, kind of random. This is a good way to get used to your tools, and also to get used to the carving, or, you know, the softness or whatever it is that you're working with. This is actually just really good to try out your stuff. So I'm just going to put a couple of little grooves here. The reason I'm doing this is just to show you how, even with something as simple as that, I mean, it's pretty, I didn't even draw it. It's just very simple and plain. But what's great about these, you can make a little cute stamp, or you can make your signature, your initial, and then make a little seal, you know, for your drawings. And I get the little goobers out of that. Okay, so this should be, so that eraser pulls out some of the eraser artifacts that are in there. And then I'm just gonna put, now I've got this design, and then, I mean, it was really super easy, but I really think it's fun. You can make repetitive patterns that actually look pretty cool, and that's not even, I didn't do anything except just gouge it. So you can see how that looks, and then I can turn it over. You can make really neat things. You can make this, you can put this on your, I think this would be fun on a little fabric. You know, you can use some kind of ink that's good for fabric. See how that repetitive design is just really fun. So that's just doing something very simple. I have that with another one. I did this one here. I think I didn't really finish the printing part, but you can see here, this one was just out of a scrap. So I was able to make a pattern. You can do all kinds of things with it. Of course, I did, that should be, there we go. So you can make surface pattern, you know, surface decorations. You can decorate your canvas pouches or oh, somebody's waiting. Oh, Susan. Sorry, I don't know how long she's, let me just get her in here. That happens. Hi, Susan. Sorry, I don't know how long you've been there. There we are. So see how that works. Hi, Susan. Welcome. So that's just on very simple designs. And when you're first starting with your carving, that's what you could do. You can just do really simple designs like that, and create really fun things out of it. So what I was going to show you, I was going to get the palette, this pad. Susan, could you unmute yourself for a second? I just want to know how long you were waiting. I'm so sorry. I think Zoom needs one of those doorbells or some kind of chime that lets you know when somebody's coming in, because I wasn't aware that you were here till I looked. So I also wanted to share with you how the hard thing is to make something round. And I started a round design, and I don't think it's going to be round because I feel that it's rough on the edges. But so that's what, you know, finding time to practice using, making these designs. And this one, I had trouble making a round eye, and I'll show you how I was able to make a round eye on this design after I learned how. So to make something round, I'm going to just go inside this piece right here. So to make a round, let's see, I think I want this to be cut out. All right, here we go. I'm going to try something round. So I'm just going to cut, I'm going to just use my fingers, and I've got to keep that momentum, because if I stop, it may not be a round design anymore. It's going to show my every move. Okay, I'll stop right there. And then I'll just cut right here on this side. Remember the 45 degrees, you'll get the feel of it. I'll just go right in here, and let's see if I can get that out. I got it. Yes. So that's roundish. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. All I did with this is I took a circle template, which is one of these, and I just made a circle, and then a smaller one, and a smaller one, and a smaller one. And that's how I was able to make this. And I think it'd be interesting to see how it prints out. So I'm going to go through this and see if it prints out nicely. I'll go back in here, and I'm going to make another cut. See if I can get some fine lines. If you go on YouTube, you wouldn't believe there's a couple of carvers out on YouTube that are absolutely incredible. They just carve like it's nothing. And they use this kind of, this Japanese carving material. It's like a Japanese eraser. They use this, but oh boy, they hold it up in their hand and they just go fast, and that's not where I'm at. I'm just kind of always done very basic carving and never really mastered that fine. I mean, they can get some fine details and beautiful straight lines. It's amazing. See if I can get this. So holding my hand, and I mean, just holding my hand still, it's just safer, and I'm able to get much more accurate cuts. And you can see I've got a nice, circular cut, but I did get a big gouge here. I felt it when I was moving, so I could just kind of try to recover that, but it's probably not going to happen. That's okay. It's just practice. Same thing. I'm going to do the same thing on this one here. I'm going to go and cut right into this. And I find if I just move my eraser instead of my hand, it seems to do better. So there. I'm just going to see what happens. And I do know there's a big gouge in that, but let's see how it prints out. I'm just going to use, oops, I forgot. I got to get this stuff out first. All right. I'll load it up. Ooh, that's kind of fun. Even if it's wonky, it's still kind of fun. So I've got this interesting sort of eyeball. I don't know what you call it, but it kind of looks like eyeballs or something. And I could get my circles closer if I cut around the whole thing, and I could probably get some interesting kind of patterns out of that. So I'm going to just cut around this whole thing, so it's not. There we go. So that it's not in my, like, because I want to be able to see my circles. Plus these little things get in the way. And if you're using inks, you can always cut. After you've taken your first print, you can always trim off what you don't want to see easily. I'm just going to go around the whole side of this so I can see my shape right into the edge there. Get all that off. Okay, so now I've got just the edges showing. I'll try that again. See what happens. I kind of like it wonky. I think it's kind of fun. It's not perfect. So now it'll be easier to kind of get the edges close to each other. And then I can always shift it and make, you can even make tessellations with this. It's really fun. So I got this really fun design, and it might be really cool, like on a canvas pouch, which I think I'd like to try doing this on some fabric.